Welcome to the Driven to Succeed Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Olson. This is co-host Terwedo. And today we have a special guest in Joe McCullough from Whitecourt Realty's Advantage. Joe, where is your office located?
Yeah, we have two offices in the Twin Cities. We have one, we kind of serve both sides of the metro. So we have one in Woodbury and we have one in Wayzata. So I work primarily out of the Woodbury office and really just serve the greater Twin Cities area.
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Joe, Joe, you and Terry have been working together for a while now.
Yeah, a few years,
Yeah.
I think, right,
Yeah,
Joe? We've been doing some deals.
I remember I met you before I even got into the industry. We were chatting at Atmosphere where you work, and just like, it's a good guy.
I did his suit for his wedding, and then he was like, "Weren't you an engineer?"
Yep.
I believe.
Started
And he
as
was
an
like,
engineer.
"Yeah, I think I'm going into to sell homes." I'm like, "Sweet, let's do some deals
All right.
together,
Yeah,
dude."
let's do it.
So then he passed, and we talked. He's like, "Dude, I passed." So I was like, "Let's
great.
go."
Let's
That's
get some deals,
fantastic. So we've been working together a couple of years, I think.
a couple years now. Yeah.
Well, go figure. I mean, Terry and I go way back, and I remember being in Mexico one time, and Terry walks into the place, and it's, "Hey, Terry!" he's kind of got a good great personality, so people like to hang out with him.
That's great. Yeah.
Still blows my mind.
Right. Well, no, that's great. We do a lot of this interview is more or less to get to know you, right? And, like you as a person, and you just shared with me with us that you just had twins.
Yeah.
Right.
Twin girls.
Twin girls.
It'll be 9 months here soon. Yeah. No,
Awesome.
it's a handful.
Are you
It's
getting
kinda
any sleep? Any sleep at all?
I got to say they've been pretty good to us overall. Although they're starting to teeth now, so you get a little bit of that. Like last night, I was like up and rocking them to sleep and all that. But they're funny. They started doing this thing now where you'll put them next to each other and one just takes the other's face and just yells and don't know where that came from, but
That's really funny.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
So,
All right, so your girl dad, do you have any other?
No, those are
the
first two. So it's like and kind of just moving into a space where it's like, all right, gotta really go for it, and put the pedal to the metal, and it's just been a lot of work, but it's been great, and it kind of gives you another reason to keep going and to just really work hard. So
That's awesome. You planned having twins, right?
oh yeah, planned it. Yeah. Well, and I gotta say, we went to the ultrasound to take a look, and like, all right, well, here's baby A, and then here's baby B, and I'm like, yeah. I'm always like, oh, dang.
Right. You're not the one that's carrying.
Yeah, just like, no. We had different reactions.
Who came from a twin?
Well, we both, on both sides of the family,
Oh, really?
have twins, yeah. So, and then they say with
Skips a
twins,
generation or
well, it
something?
skips generation, and then if you have one set of twins, your chances of having other sets go up by 4. So I'm like,
Could you
I don't know,
imagine?
2 girls have 2 boys,
Right,
Like,
right.
Just get it all
Yeah,
done.
get it done.
Just get it all done.
That's efficiency, right? Yeah. So that's fun, just playing with them, and I definitely want to take certain time out of my day to just spend some time with them. So
Well, stuff changes so fast at that time.
oh, I know. I just want to
My
absorb it all.
nephew has it was funny, we were up north last weekend at our cabin, and my nephew, his little boy, his boy's 2 now, and terrible twos are a real thing. I was talking to him like, "Oh, Chris, how's Duke?" He's like, "He's a little asshole right now." He's an asshole after everything he does. And all of a sudden, because he's like, "I don't want to take him anywhere right now, like this is truly real." And I was like, all right.
Joe, did you grow up around the Woodbury area? Or?
Well, I grew up in St. Paul. Okay. The fun fact about me is I've only ever lived in St. Paul my whole life.
Okay.
I grew up in the Como Park neighborhood, moved around, Marion Park and the Summit area, and actually bought our first house back in Como. So we're a couple blocks even just from my parents, and
awesome.
just a great spot. Yeah, I mean, I tell people like, yeah, that place, I know it like the back of my hand, and so that's kind of a cool thing. But I was a big biker too, not motorcycle. but you know, I like to bike around, explore like
it
the
doesn't say
paths.
Hell's Angels.
No.
Your vest there.
Yeah, do I look like?
Yeah.
But yeah, we had just growing up biking around, kind of free reign. So I mean, I explored everywhere in the cities, just kind of whether by bike, by car, whatever it is. So
which makes it really good that you're an agent. You know that.
Yeah,
well,
like that was kind of
hand,
with my brother. He and I would do this, and I remember when I started, I talked to him, and I was like, I know where all these homes are, but it's actually kind of fun to like get in and see it, and kind of what.
Right, because you have some old homes, right?
Yes.
Around that area.
Oh yeah.
Do you get into because it's interesting because I see other people that get like in their communities and it's easier in smaller towns, right? And like everybody knows everybody, but it's easier when you've been around that and you got family there, to do more community type of things. Are you active? Do you get active in any of and now they have twins, it might not be active in much.
Yeah, I mean I try to get around, and I'm in the process of we'll be going into the second month of this, but I'm starting what's known as a lyceum, which I don't know if I bring that up to people like, what the heck is that? But it's actually a tradition dating back to like the 1800s in the United States of just getting people together, neighbors, community, to kind of just talk about things pertinent to the community, but also just kind of like, hey, I want to meet some people. I want to talk about some cool things. So last month we did a talk on what is transcendence. What does it mean to have, to live outside of yourself? So we had a panelist of 3 people talked, and then kind of broke it into groups. So I just kind of went around promoting that. And then this coming month I'm working on getting some contractors in and talk about just the value of hard work, manual labor. So just kind of having fun discussions. It's at a brewery in St. Paul called Jorg, and it's fun. I mean, you just get together, you have some beers, talk about it.
You get to know people, like we do. In real estate, mortgage, we do networking events all the time, and we see the same people at the networking events. We don't actually see clients.
We don't see clients. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
So this is more of that opportunity to get in front of people, and so they know who you are, right?
Well, and that was part of like the thing I love about this, and one of the reasons why I switched is like,
why did you switch?
I've met so many people growing up in the cities, and I'm one of those people that has friends from kindergarten. I just have, and maybe that's weird, but I've had friends, and I'm always like, I want to stay in touch with people more. And I was like, you know what? Like with this job, I can just grab a beer with someone. Like might talk about real estate, we may not. I don't even care. Like for me, it's just, hey, this is an excuse to stay in touch, and if I can help you, if you're like, hey, by the way, I'm thinking of this, like excellent. That's kind of like, I'm not even necessarily thinking about, is this going to be a deal? It's just, hey, I have this opportunity now. I can just, grab lunch, grab dinner, coffee, whatever it is, and just kind of keep tabs on people.
Your life gets a little more like we always say, even us too, we're always working. Like we're always working. Like when we were texting the other night, you're like, oh, it was 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I'll get that over to you right now. And Joe's like, wow, man. I'm like, that's what we do. That's what we do, but we might have 3 hours off in the afternoon. But when it's time to work, it's time to work. And
and I mean, I love that. That's something that is, it's kind of one of those things. Just like you waffle because you're like, oh man, I just love where like I could take a morning and just kind of be with the kids, and then kind of put on my work cap and knock out some things. But it's like, oh well, in the busy days you're like, I need structure. So this is always like back and forth. Right? It's just back and forth.
Well,
and, so
it's this business, and I preach this all the time to Terry and Brett and the team. It's a relationship business, and literally building a tech company around building that relationship with our clients. That we, a lot of times lenders forget because we're going into such a digital environment and stuff like that. And how do you retain those clients? Is by having that relationship again. I over the last number of years, how many people that also out of the blue just contact me like, hey, we never even really talked about mortgage, just know I'm in it, right? But we've had candid conversations about just life, and other things. So I love that you're doing that, and I know there's, the last, this next looking forward, right, is going to be more of a, what the market's doing right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more of that relationship. It's going to be a lot harder. There's going to be a lot of real estate agents that may not make it. Right. If they don't have what you talk about structure, they don't have the other things that you're putting in place.
And my broker keeps kind of hitting on, like, these are the best times to be an agent. Like, I remember just these last couple of years, it was just this whirlwind of like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And he's like, things slow down.
It was a free for all.
Yeah,
what it was.
Yeah, it just kind of was. And he's like, you're going to enjoy your job a lot more. You're going to be able to really spend time getting to know your clients. You're going to be able to really
and I'll be honest, I feel like the last 18 months, or definitely like the last year, up until like this summer or until this fall, when things really changed, now we can focus more on the buyer's needs, not just like, whoa, the seller just gets everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And like, oh, no inspection.
A lot more room for negotiation.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, that's when it's like, as an agent, I feel like I really get to flex my muscle and my worth. It's not just like, okay, I'm gonna write this thing for how much you willing to give up,
Yeah, how much you got in the bank?
And I, we kind of just are going through this more nuanced market of like, I think people still have that mindset of, oh man, what do I got to do? It's like, let's take a breath, let's get you a deal. And then, on the other hand, I'm sure you're hearing this, people are like, the rates are going crazy. It's like, okay, and you've said this to me before, it's like, if you're renting, and I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, it's like, if you're renting, that's 100% interest rate.
100% interest rate.
And to use another term, you date the mortgage and you marry the house. So
correct.
There's a way to, and I say this too, is like, we're going deal hunting. That's what we're doing right now. Like, we're going to try to find something where, here's the sticker price. Let's see what we can do, and let's not be as attached to homes now, because they're coming up more. We just need a little bit of a mindset.
You can build equity faster. Like, it's like I said, last year a guy got in an argument with me. I think I said this last week, is he was like, you're just mad about rates? I'm like, well, think about it. Last year you didn't have the extra $60,000 to go over like all these other people.
Yeah.
Well, now you can buy a house. You can buy a house for under.
Yeah.
You might even get seller pays. Guess what?
Yeah.
You're instantly going to build equity right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about that. You don't have to live in that house forever.
Exactly.
The more and more we get into this too, like I'm, pull up Facebook. It's like everybody's talking about 2-1 buy down, right, or 3-2-1.
Yeah.
Or, getting the sellers to give closing costs. We were so focused on covering the closing costs ourselves, and so forth. Whether it's in lender fees and whatnot. Getting that done just so we can get the house. Well, now we're able to ask for sellers to pay closing costs, and now we can use that money to buy down the rate. Yep. But I'm a true believer that, in the next 5 years, likely sooner, depending on what all happens, that rates are going to be, they're not going to be at 8%, right? They're not going to be at 7%. I mean, likely, we don't know. We don't hold crystal ball. It could be, but
it's like, how long do you want to sit on the sidelines too? It's like there's always something, and
that's 3% every year on your house you could have built. Yeah.
Well, what is the average rent now? Let's get a rent on a 3-bedroom house, $2,200, $2,400.
Yeah.
And now you're paying, $28,000 in 1 year, for your living, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a throwaway.
And that's like, for first-time home buyers, right? People that are, a little uneasy, but even homeowners that have been in their house for a while, they're still, now it's a little bit of like, here are what the expectations are now. Here is the market. These are strategies that are changing. It isn't just, and people all the time, you're going to Google your house. You're going to, how much is my house worth? You're going to do it. And a lot of the things you're seeing, come back was maybe a year ago, 6 months ago. So people have these expectations. Well, we're talking about this, but the Zillows are saying, oh, well, here's my house. Like, okay, well, you know what? How about this? We could throw it on there, but how about this? Let's put $50,000 on top of it. Let's see what happens. Let's just see how high we can go on. And like, yeah, it's like, okay, right. and then what are we gonna do?
Right. Everybody thinks their house is worth $1 million.
Right.
It's just and
that's and that's really the job, I think, of the agent, is just say, here's where we are in the market, and here's how we can competitively price this to be able to move it, to get you the most money, and to just make it as stress-free as possible. Because it's It's a stressful process. There's so many things going on, and it's, I have all the sympathy in the world for people doing it. I mean, I do. Everyone has gone through it,
right.
Of just like, I got to move, I got to do this and that. It's like, let me take some of that off your plate.
Mm-hmm. I'll
handle this section of it so you can do this, and we'll get you taken care of. And it's just really just the peace of mind of, it can be stressful, but let me help make that a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
So that's really the goal on that end.
I mean, everybody I talk to, Joe, that, the deals we've done, they have nothing but so many good things to say about you because, like I said, you do take that off their plate.
So.
Here you go.
Right.
But no, they say good things, and that's why I like to work with you because you know what? It's kind of like on our end too. It's I want you to enjoy this process because it's supposed to be fun.
Right.
It's not supposed to be the biggest headache in the world. It's not supposed to be you're buying the biggest purchase of your life.
Yeah.
Let's try to make it somewhat fun. But if we set it up correctly on our end, if it's set up right, everything is smooth.
It's really working with the experts such as yourself and Terry, you as well. I mean, it's just, we know our business. That's the reason why, for sale by owners, it's just like whenever I see it, it's like, okay, unless you've been a real estate agent and you've done this whole process, I think there is statistics out there just showing for sale by owners do not get the full amount of what their house is worth over and over. And then, we see it on our side. We get a for sale by owner. It's like, okay, that means I'm going to act as a real estate agent.
I have to do all the work.
I'm not licensed because they're going to be asking me all these questions
Yeah.
and, and so forth.
We're working
But,
both sides of it.
that's why people work with experts, and that's why it is what it is, right? And, from the loan side, we talked about it in one of our previous podcasts about, that when they're like, well, why are closing costs so high? And it's like, do you understand how many people actually touches your loan, right? Title company and people on our side, and just like on your side, you are going to drive that bus, and you have all that knowledge in that bus, to help them through that process, make it easy, help them find, the inspectors with, and now we get to actually have inspections again, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
And
even during the market, I'm like, you want to think twice, 3, 4 times before waiving that inspection
100%.
Because you don't know what you're going to find, and even an inspection, it's an opinion, it's going to be, they might not get everything, but you just got to know, like, you're buying a house, it's got a ton of characters and quirks, like there's things
an
that
old
come
house.
up
If you want something brand new, buy a brand new house.
Yeah.
it's one thing to buy a house that's like 2 years old or newer, or a condo, that's got minimal, it's actually in a condo building,
right?
But it's you start looking at homes that have any kind of age on it, and specifically in older neighborhoods, waiving those inspections. I mean, I know there's attorneys out there making a ton of money right now.
Oh yeah.
But they might not get anything because they literally sign contracts saying they're waiving inspection, right? So it is
Having
what it
peace
is.
of mind is a lot. It's peace of mind is, like I said, we talked about earlier this morning. Just a little warm, fuzzy feeling of, all right, okay, I know this house isn't new, but
and like you said, it's
not going to fall down.
I'll disagree with you a little bit. Buying the home is probably the second biggest financial decision. The first one, probably who you marry.
You know what? That is
actually
a lot of people do it the reverse way, and then they end up divorced. So
but even so, it is a big decision, and a lot of what I end up doing with an agent is like, I've done this before, even if you haven't. This is the process, and it's just kind of talking people down or just getting people back to the expectation. Okay, things are fine.
Counselors, man.
Kind of, yeah. I was like, I should have gone to school
therapists,
for
counselors,
psychology,
educators, and that's what we a lot of people don't realize what we do bring to the table, right? Especially when we have a team like you guys work together. It's a team effort, right? And being able to refer people back and forth between each other and have that, like, you can say Terry's like he'll take care of you, you know it. And vice versa, right? It's always about the team. Who you're working with, right? There's many realtors out there, many loan officers out there. And I think the next couple of years you're going to see the good ones really rise to the top. right?
Yeah.
Things that are doing the outreach programs.
When the market's running hot, it's like, right.
Right.
Hop in.
No one had to show houses anymore.
Right.
You're like, sure, I'll just write that up for you.
Yep.
Right.
It's just nuts.
Virtual tours. I'll go over there and take some
Quick
video and whatnot. But yeah, that's why we started this podcast, was really to get to know our real estate partners, even on a closer level, but to really get this out for the people in your sphere, and showing what you're really like as a person, right? So, I mean, I'm learning a ton already, just sitting here with you. And granted, I only get to oversee some of the transactions that Terry's doing, and, he might have questions on things. But, what did you do previously? You were an engineer?
Engineer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what actual, industry?
Yeah, I was in the HVAC engineering.
Okay.
So,
Right.
And that's something too that I feel like I've walked in along with a number of inspections and just kind of,
fed right into
yeah,
this.
it's like I speak the language a little bit. I'm able to kind of understand, the systems. And so even when I'm going through homes, I'm like, hey, look at this, look at that. So I'm not an inspector.
Right.
Full disclosure, not an inspector, but I've absorbed enough to be able to be dangerous and say, hey, here's some things to kind of look at when we're going through. And I kind of try to find that balance of if someone's, in love with the house and, can't see the flaws, I'm like, well, just so you know, there's a couple things to watch. And then the other way, if they're kind of, noticing those things, or they're just kind of, pessimist about it, it's like, well, okay, here's kind of how you would fix something,
right.
and just trying to find the balance of the reality of this is your house,
Sure.
This is your potential house, and ultimately, can you see yourself living in it?
Right. That's awesome. I mean, I tell people all the time, because most of the time we get referrals from agents, right? That's where most of our business come from, because it's just I came from the auto industry, right? Mm-hmm. And people walked in the door. They didn't go to their bank first to get a loan. Right. They walked in the door to look at the car. We offered financing there, so that's where where I would come into. It's the same thing with homes. People walk into a home, or they find a real estate agent first, and then they come to us. But
they never want to come to us first. We try.
We definitely try. We have to pay
yeah.
for it, and we get the ones we have to pay for are not easy. But when we do get to refer back and forth, it's great to be able to say, hey, this is what Joe was able to offer. He can work anywhere in the Twin Cities, but he's got a background experience of, in a good real estate agent. And there are many good ones. And don't get me wrong, there's many, many good ones. But, just having that extra knowledge, or, even if you're in a shorter term of real estate, of being in the business and not being in it 20 years, to see all of these different things that have happened, right, with different, because there's something new every day, right?
Right.
We learn something new every day. Things change. I mean, the world's changing on us, and on the financing side, new overlays and things happen all the time. We're like, hey, we could do this 6 months ago. We can't do it now, right? So, and that's why again, going back to being the experts. So I think, Terry, what other questions did you have?
I don't know. I want to know. I guess since you started this, what's your favorite story so far? Do you have a crazy one? Do you have a fun one? Do you have a what's happened? That's.
Yeah, man. I do have kind of a crazy one. I had a listing. I was helping this client sell their house and buy another one, and there's a lot of, I think, confusion that happened with people during COVID as far as what can you do, what can and can't you do with your mortgage. There, being able to do forbearance, things like that. Some out of necessity, right? Some people is like, you're working in a service industry, you can't work. Okay, you're gonna foreclose on your house. So it was a tough time, I think, for a lot of people. And for this particular person, they were in forbearance, and I don't know if they knew when it ended or the terms of how it ended. And so we were going to sell their house and found out, oh, hey, we're actually in the middle of a foreclosure proceeding from the bank. And so we were dealing with that, and they called me in this panic, like, we're going to be out of a home, and we can't have money to close the next one. We just have to pull the plug on this, and again, talking people down from a ledge. Like, it's going to be okay. We're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just, surrounding that, there was some other things that we just had to kind of work through. And, thankfully the agent on the selling or on the buying side for my client was just gracious about, okay, we have the deal. They're moved out. We can be flexible on this end. So we worked through it. It was tough. I won't name the bank, but it was a larger one, and they just were just unresponsive. It was very tricky to deal with. Really pushed our timeline out weeks, and I think just constantly trying to every day checking in with them and with our title and being like, what's going on? How can we do this?
Right.
And just really seeing it through. And I think that was just, that was big for me, and just like, adversity, we can get through it. Like, we don't have to, speed bumps will happen and maybe they'll shake you a little bit, but we can get to the other side and we'll get you into the home.
Stay the course.
There's so many layers in a transaction, right? From start to finish.
And you love it when it goes smooth, but it doesn't always.
No,
we all love those.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All of those, please.
Yeah, please. I'll take them all.
But that's when I think that's when you really, you earn your commission, and you really just show your value, right? And just like being able to see these, big transactions through to the end, being able to help smooth it out as much as you can, or recover from anything that 100%. Hopefully it's not your fault, right? That's
right.
You're not responsible, but you're going to be able to
fix it.
Right. Yep. And get the people in the right, positions, mindsets wise, and just hang tight. Like they wanted to pull the plug and what rent, or whatever they were going to do, and it's just like
and there were just other things with their own debt that they had to resolve with that. So it ended up. Moral of the story was a happy ending. We got them into their house, got everything resolved, but it was definitely a little bit more of a bumpier road.
It's a challenge.
It's a sense of accomplishment too. Like you're that's why I do this.
Yeah.
It's because guess what? That client will never forget you.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And he will tell everybody about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like I said, there's nothing more satisfying. Like when I always say I love this job, because guess what? I get to be a part of something in your life that was huge.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it isn't. It's not just a financial decision, right? Like you're gonna have a family in that house. You're gonna make so many memories. Like there's gonna be, your dog's gonna poop on the carpet.
You're gonna kick a few holes in that wall.
It's all part of it, and there's that sentimental attachment tied up to it, and that's part of the reason I did this instead of maybe say going into, engineering sales. It's like I wanted that relational aspect. And that's not to say you don't have that. It's just probably more within an industry. It's like I want to, I can kind of enter into it. And sometimes, my wife tells me, like, you got to put up some boundaries. Right? It's like, this isn't your house. You're like, you're right. It is. This is their house. And, but it means a lot to me, It's like, and I feel that. I feel really the, a little, maybe more than I should, a little bit of the weight of, like, let me help you. This is.
I get the same point on that, because sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm not your dad.
Yeah.
This is your money.
Yeah.
Do what you want with it. But I'm always like, I just want to guide you correctly. Like ask the questions.
And we should, we should help people to make the best decisions they can. That's why we're there.
But
we can't do it for them.
Right. The best salespeople have the empathy factor, right? It really kids empathize with their clients and. What they're going through, and not just, I tell people all the time, hey, this isn't about a commission, when, there's things that come up like that just get found in the middle of a process, and it's not maybe not the loan officers, they didn't know about it because title found something.
Yeah.
Now you got to work through it, and then it's like, well, now it's like up to us, a lot of weight to get that thing done.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make sure of that. But Joe, I wanted to thank you for coming in. It was really good to get to know you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's great.
And,
it's a lot of fun.
We'll put your contact information on. You want to throw out your phone number? And
sure. It's it's 651-303-8521. You can give me a call. Even if you just want to grab a beer, you can. I'll even buy you a meal. Why not?
All right.
Yeah.
And we'll put your contact info up
Yeah.
on the screen here after so that people can take a peek at
right
it.
here. Yeah.
Right here. It's going to go right
there.
here.
Right there, yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, everybody, don't forget, like and subscribe. If you like hearing this, if you have any comments, questions, please put it in the comment box and ask any questions. We would love to answer them for you. So, thanks again, Joe.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you.